Hello, everyone. Let me know if you guys can hear me or not. All right. Awesome. It's like probably my first live in a long time. Um, just want to say thank you all for coming and everything. I've always done premieres and stuff, but had issues throughout the years, as we all do, correct? So this is very important here. It's something that oh shoot, protect your children. Let me get you a mod, bro. Okay, there we go. Um, this is something that touches every one of us, and that's why we're here. So I figured it'd be a lot easier just to talk about it, and we'll go through some things or whatever. And we had a special guest with us. He doesn't want to be called a special guest. You guys know Jay from Michigan, right? So go ahead and say hello, Jay.
Hello.
Hey, hello.
Hi, everybody.
Love this guy, man. He's always been over on the court system of YouTube, checking out things over there, and he's pretty good at what he does. But outside of that, I'd like to say that Jay has a little bit of a background that a lot of people don't know about. See if I can give him a little bit of an intro. Here we go.
There's a president, a vice president, a warlord, which is in charge of weapons and retaliations and defense.
And that would be Jay. Jay was the warlord for the Avengers. Meaning that, go ahead, Jay. Tell them what you do, bro.
Well, it was the national or international level #1 warlord, which is the top enforcer for the club. Internal, external, for over 6 years.
And what kind of a club was it?
Excuse me?
What kind of a club was that? So people know.
1% outlaw motorcycle club.
What does 1%er mean?
Well, 1%ers go by their own rules. And if they choose to go by society's rules, they do. If they choose not to, they don't.
Exactly.
The Hells Angels, the Mongols, the Outlaws, the Pagans, the Banditos, several others. They're all 1%er clubs.
Awesome. So, as a 1%er club, what is your main job and your status at that club?
As a national warlord, there was a lot of them. Actually, I was the bodyguard of the president of the club. I was four of them, actually. The vice president of the club. When we split from north to south, the vice president, national vice president, lived in LaPorte County, and he was given all the northern states, and the president lived down in West Virginia, and he took all the southern states. We did it that way. After a while, I was in charge of internal security, internal enforcement. If, say, a chapter became like a dictatorship or something like that, we would change the president and the vice president out. I've done that. We had a nomad, and the nomads are a club within a club. Try to take over a chapter once, and we took care of that. And external stuff. I could speak for the club to anybody. I represented the Avengers.
Gotcha, man. So outside of that, take a couple questions from chat. If anybody has any questions about what's going on here, or what kind of position that our friend Jay had. And go ahead and spit them out in the chat. And if not, then we're going to move on because we've got something important tonight to spit out to everybody. It's something that a lot of people don't know about. It's the fact that a lot of these, we're going to call them 1%er because they are the 1%. The people that don't listen to laws, don't listen to authority. They make their own rules. They do what they want. So they will take what they want and use it to their advantage. Hey, Jay, you want to tell them how they do that?
Well, we had guys who were just working class guys, family guys, all the way up to guys who were hitters. Okay. We had hundreds of members, and there's no way you can know them all. How you made your money in our club was your business, and it was all about connections. The government wants you to think it's all organized and structured, and it's really not. It's more about vetted contacts. Is really what clubs are about. It's a way of bringing people around you that, I mean, we were infiltrated by the law. I went through a RICO trial. I don't know if you guys know what RICO is, Racketeering Influence Corrupt Organization at the federal level. And most of the other 1% clubs have the mafia, other all-out criminal organizations like the Mexican mafia up here in these states, the street gangs, the major street gangs, anything like that can get hit with a RICO. They can get them at a state level too. Now, so yeah, lots of fun.
So that being said, guys, this is Jay from Michigan, and I'm going to go ahead and say it because he told me it's okay. He was the enforcer for the Avengers, which were caught in between the Hells Angels and the Outlaws in a major biker war back in 2000s. Am I right, Jay?
It was in the 90s.
90s, sorry.
Yeah,
I'm old too.
I mean, I can get into all that, but it would take a while. Yes,
right.
Specifically, my chapter was put in the middle of it. We're in a book by a very famous writer. His name's Eyes Levine. He wrote 3 books on outlaw bike clubs. It's all pretty much based on police and government side of things, but we're mentioned in there because the war almost started up again, and because the president of the entire club was the president of my chapter and the president of Nomads, and him and another guy from my chapter quit and went to the Hells Angels in South Bend.
Gotcha, man. So, what year did you get out?
2003.
And why did you get out, Jay?
Well, I left because basically over because of my chapter, some shit that was going on in my chapter. I ran the politics in my chapter, but things were getting stupid.
Pretty fucking heavy. Sorry.
And I didn't like it. And other things that I seen that were going on, and
one of the worst things that I know that Jay has seen was the sexualization of children, the indoctrination of the biker clubs taking young children under their wing and giving them fake IDs. And you know what? Hey, Jay, you know what to tell them, man.
Yeah, there's a lot of chapters or guys that take over or buy bars and strip joints and massage parlors. It's not just the Avengers, it's all of the outlaw clubs.
Every one of them.
And And it's not just the bike clubs, it's all kinds of organizations, criminal organizations that do these things. These things provide uh, places where you can launder money, your drug money or whatever. But the thing is if anyone thinks that they don't take 14-year-old, 15-year-old girls and groom them and put them on stage twirling around poles at 16, 17 years old, or prostitution or selling their drugs in them places, you're crazy. They do it. And it's not just the bike clubs. And yes, there was Avengers that did that. I never did that. I never made money off women. It was not my thing. You don't judge your brothers. Your brothers are always right, no matter in public. No matter if they're wrong as hell, they're right in public. In private, that's a different thing.
Yeah, that's the mentality, isn't it?
That is the mentality. It's been that way since World War II.
Correct, man. So what we're going to do here tonight is we're going to go over grooming. We're going to go over some of the things that can lead children into these things. I'm sure we all know what they are as far as people in chat, but maybe some new people don't know what they are. So just something that we want to do. And we thought that it might be, helpful. So
I want to say
go ahead.
I'm going to give you a trigger warning right now. This stuff is real true crime, and this stuff is very harsh stuff. Okay? It's sickening stuff. It's harsh stuff. But it happens. I wanted to get a perspective into this because it's never talked about.
Exactly. A lot of people don't even know.
Yeah.
So we've got grooming, all right. And if anybody doesn't know what that is, that's a manipulative behavior that the abuser uses to gain access or control to a potential victim. Coercing them to do whatever they want to them, and also reduces the risk of them being caught because the person that's being groomed isn't going to know what's happening to them because it's subtle, meaning they're not aware of it. It's slight. It goes over time. It's gradual, and actually, believe it or not, it's just not kids that this happens to. It's vulnerable adults also. It can take place online or in person. Usually employed by a family member or someone else in the victim's circle of trust. Someone that they know, like a coach, a teacher, a youth group leader, others who naturally have some interaction with the quote unquote victim, whoever it may be. Mostly children. Mostly the younger, the better, because the younger, the more their mind's going to adapt to the way that they're being treated. So, and that's a serious problem nowadays, because if parents don't look out for their children and what their children are doing, and they don't know what their children are doing, then other people are going to step in and control the way that child thinks. So, that's just one thing. Like I was saying here, grooming can take many forms. It also follows a similar pattern. Okay, and we've got a lot of different patterns that go on with grooming. Number one would be like I'm going to call it victim selection, which means that the people that are doing this, these PDF files, they often observe possible victims and select them based on the ease of access to them or their, what I'm going to say, perceived vulnerability. So, excuse me, if this groomer thinks that this child is going to be accessible, he's going to go for it. And there's no doubt about it. There's no way he's not going to go for it. He's going to take that chance just because, hey, once a pedo, always a pedo. You know what I mean? And then there are the people that are out there just to solely make money from it. And that's why I've got Jay up here on the screen. Jay, you want to tell them a little bit about the money aspect of why they're doing it?
It's all about the money. They got girls that give them, and the girls come to us, to the men a lot of times. But you're talking, 40, 50 grand a month, easy. And
Easy.
that's probably low. They sell drugs, they do prostitution, and they do the dancing. Not all of them, but a lot of them. They have private dances. They have VIP rooms, and the chapters, they're the bouncers and the security, so they run the place. They take it, they infiltrate, take it over, and run the place. And it's quite a few of them.
Well, what about the cops, man?
The cops, there's a lot of corrupt cops out there. They some of them actually, a lot of times they're told by higher ups not to even mess with us because they want to get us on the higher crimes or the highest crimes that they can, and so we're given a free pass actually, and then.
Right. So, in a lot of times, what you're saying is that the children don't matter to the police, right? As long as they get like the larger crimes out there.
The police, a lot of them, they're family men, yeah, but a lot of them like to come in and have sex with the strippers and whatnot, and they're allowed to, as and that gives them a pass. That happens. And they know them, and they'll wait till they get out of work, and they'll take them and go have sex with them and whatnot. And so, there's that, and that happens quite a bit. And there's money involved at times. There's a lot of dynamics to it. There's a lot of police that would rather side with a big club than go against, like, in some areas of huge cities, like say 7th Mile up in Detroit there.
That's where I'm at.
Well, they'd rather have a bunch of guys like us have their backs if we see something going down and they're in a gunfight, and they'll make a deal. You guys, come start throwing lead on our side if you see us going against the Bloods over here or something, and we'll do things for you.
Right.
There's a lot of dynamics there. There's way more. It's way more than just like the stripper stuff. Trust me. There's a lot of dynamics to crime.
It's a sad situation, man. All right, so we're going to get on to our next little topic. So that's going to be. Let me pull my little cheat sheet up here.
Well, I could tell you a little bit about grooming and how it goes on with them.
You know what? Go for it.
Okay, a lot of times it's the younger guys. It's even the kids. It's like teenage kids of the members or whatever. They're bringing these girls around, and this does happen to boys because there is a gay community out there.
And I heard it's their wives also.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Some of them do have their old ladies stripped and whatnot. Some of them do that. And actually, you're allowed to have 2 old ladies in the club. And there's rules about it, okay? You can't say, like, this is my second old lady, and then a weekend later say, oh, this is my second old lady. You got to have 90 days in between each one, at least. At least it was that way in our chapter. I don't know how the other chapters run it, but that's how it was, because me, I would stay behind the bar, okay? Only club members were allowed behind the bar, but the girls would come in there, and it was like throwing meat to sharks. Okay, with the rest, most all the other guys. It was, you wouldn't believe some of the shit I've seen and heard. But
I believe it.
But as far as the grooming goes, it's the younger girls usually are like the 18, 19-year-old, because you can come in at 18 in the club. And you'd be a legacy if your father's one anyway.
Well,
and
what if you were younger than 18 and wanted to get in there?
Well, you're basically doing your hang around period. The mentality is basically, if you're 17 years old and can carry a gun and go kill for your country, then you can be in a club. But since, for legal reasons, they make it 18. Okay.
Right. But with outlaw clubs, I know it's gone as low as 13, 14. They'll mess with them, put them on the street, put them on a corner.
Yeah. What they do is generally they'll take them in to it's the individual guys. They'll have maybe a string of girls, and they'll take a girl and they'll take an older girl and they'll make her train her.
So more or less like be the mother figure, and this is what you need to do, right?
Yeah, and
turn her into the groomer.
Well, yeah, because he watches over everything, but yeah, you take care of her. A lot of guys do groom them themselves.
It's crazy stuff, man.
It does happen a lot, and it happens a lot in our club. Like pedophiles, as far as like 12, 13, and younger. Well, let's put it this way. I won't get too elaborate with this, but I heard about one in northern Ohio, and he disappeared.
Well, that's kind of a good thing.
So, yeah.
I know that, I mean, we've got outlaws, we've got mobsters, we've got, higher up politicians, and everyone's out to like exploit younger children. So
yeah.
how do some of the higher ups in these motorcycle gangs get away with it?
Well, we don't call ourselves gangs, call ourselves clubs, because
sorry about that. Yeah.
No, that's okay. It's because that's what it's like.
It makes a big difference, correct?
Well, if you say gang, the first thing we think is, okay, this is a cop, and now we had cops that I've personally had cops save my ass a lot of times, but and other things, but I'm talking about like an infiltrating cop. But how the higher ups think, it's up to each member, it's up to the chapter how you make your money. It is completely.
So in some bases, it's a no questions asked thing.
Well, it's more of a birds of a feather flock together, like Grandma used to say. If you're into selling meth and coke, which I could have got tons of, and I kept it away from our chapter for many reasons. As except for like a little bit of personal use, but I didn't allow it around.
Gotcha, man.
Then the guys who it's contacts. Okay, if that's your thing, that's you. If you're doing insurance jobs and stealing motorcycles or selling guns or whatever you're doing, them guys all kind of stick together. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's kind of cliquey, but
so I'm going to go ahead and assume that some of these chapters have just went ahead and got into the sex trade to make money.
Yeah, some of them
not necessarily your club. I know the Outlaws have, and they've been known to do that since like the 60s, man.
The Outlaws actually is the club that I know the best. I've hung around shit tons of them. Yes, the Outlaws are very well known to pimp their women. As a matter of fact, the old ladies in our club were property of that. They were property patches, and they were property of the individual member.
So these people, more or less, what he's saying here is property is women are second rate in their community. They
Not
are lesser.
necessarily. It is a fraternity. There are no women
Right.
in these clubs.
Yes, they're known as property, meaning the men own them.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can't say own them because
Well, bottom line, if
it's
property means you own them.
well, yeah, to the other members that it comes down to this: if somebody else messes with your old lady, they could get fucking killed over it.
Right. But you're allowed to pimp them out. That's
Well,
crazy.
I was single when I first joined. I was single for 4 or 5 years, and I had a 10-year relationship with a my lady, and she had been around the club, and there was no way in hell I'd ever pimp her out. She didn't know any. I mean, she didn't never know where I was. She didn't know. I didn't call her from the road. I might be gone a week or two. She'd always ask, and I never messed around on her because that wasn't my thing. I was out taking care of business, and TCB, taking care of business, is a known throughout all kinds of the clubs.
Gotcha, man. All right. So, back on track here. Let's talk about gaining access and isolating victims. How about that? So,
Yeah.
our groomers, they will attempt to physically or emotionally separate a victim from those that are protecting them, and they seek out positions in which they can do that from. So, basically, we're just gonna I'm gonna become a babysitter, or I'm gonna become a teacher, or I'm gonna be someone in a position of trust in order for your family to gain, uh, I guess, respect me for what I do, and leave me alone with your kid for a little bit, and that's one way that they get at them. They make them feel that they have a caring relationship with them, and they're gonna train them, and then in turn, what these groomers do, well, they'll tell the child, "Hey, keep this a secret. We don't want you to know. We don't want your parents to know. This is our little secret." And so much of us hear this all the time. Um, it's kind of sad. Then we've got what's called desensitization to touch and discussion of sexual topics,
Mm-hmm.
which was it was a topic that was brought out by RAIN, which is a national organization against this stuff. Um, and they brought out that abusers will often start to touch a victim in ways that appear harmless to start with, like a simple hug, or I'm going to wrestle around with it a little bit, tickle you, and then later it just becomes more and more and more sexual contact.
Yeah. Big red
Like
flag.
right, it'll go from that to like massages, or you need a shower, I can clean you up, let me show you how.
Oh,
you
man.
know
Yeah.
right.
That you're talking there. That's more mainstream. In my world, which is way more fringe world. It was way easier because the girls were ignored. They were looking for ways to get the hell out
Right,
of
they wanted that, didn't they?
things. They wanted to get out of their homes. They wanted to prove they were adults. They were, got them on drugs, or already were on drugs, and we had them, so they were with us, or anybody else that had them. All them situations. You're talking like fringe of America and the world, not more mainstream. The groomers of mainstream. The fringe, it's a lot easier. They come to us a lot of times, or they're just like I said. The guys will bring them in a little bit older
Right, because
guys.
with the clubs, a lot of times people, well, especially children, like, ooh, it's a biker. Oh, I want to be like that. And kids have always looked up to that kind of things. They're like, oh my God, oh, look at that guy on that Harley.
They feel safe. They have no family. Their family ignores them, or they have no family, and they look at that and they go, "Look at that family, and look at them big, strong,
Right. As far as you guys in chat, how many of you as a little kid would always think of yourself, back then going, wow, look at that guy in a leather jacket and a motorcycle. He's so cool. Well, you never know about that guy on the motorcycle and the leather jacket.
Well, you don't know about them
A
nowadays.
lot of them are actually very nice people, but when it comes down to it, a lot of these, what we're going to call outlaw clubs here, that's the one percenters. Those people will make money off of anything that they possibly can.
Yes, that's true. But they don't go like.
Well, they're not right. They got morals.
They don't go prepubescent. They wouldn't make child porn. They would die for that.
Right.
They as a matter of fact, the guys that go to prison, if they find out you're one, they will probably kill you.
So there's a fine line in between what they do as far as sex trafficking, which, none of us agree with, and the CP business.
It depends on the man.
Yeah.
But as far as the rest of it goes, like I said, if you were found out to be a child molester or some little kid in my club, you're fucked. In my club and probably others, many others, if not all of them.
I want to take 2 seconds to apologize to everybody in the chat here. Me and Jay spent the last 2.5 to 3 days getting a bunch of videos together, and my PC took a dump. I lost both the hard drives, and so I ended up getting them all downloaded on my laptop here. But for some reason or another, even after I converted everything, this stupid laptop doesn't want to play any one of the videos that we worked so hard on.
StreamYard.
So I'm kind of winging it. And I just want to apologize to everybody for not having the content that you guys are used to. So it's just it's us. How about that?
We'll do better next time.
Promise you guys. So I'm going to go on to a couple of. I'm trying to see, and the StreamYard thing is new to me too. I've only used it a couple times. I'm trying to get in here some content, and I click to present, and I've got video file, extra camera, slides, and PDFs, but it doesn't say pictures because I got a myriad of them. And I don't know how to do it. So I'll apologize about that as well. I'm just glad that whoever showed up here, and let me go through the chat real quick. I'm going to give some good hellos because you guys are awesome. A lot of you have been with me since the very start of my YouTube here, and some of you are new, but I would just love to come through and tell everybody that they're appreciated. Number one on the list that showed up tonight was Sammy Joe. Love her. Awesome girl. And we got Tim, Big Tim, awesome supporter of all the predator catchers. We've got Joe CPP. Joe's a good man. Love you, Joe. Then we've got New Jersey predator catcher. Nice guy, man. He's been around a good couple of years and he does a good job at what he does. Elizabeth, or Elixabeth, met her over at Mandu. Very nice woman. Always very supportive. Deeds, 74 Deeds, been there since a good couple of years, man. He's all over the place. Love you, Deeds. Who else we got here? Shelly Shells, main supporter of a lot of catchers. Very funny and adorable girl. Love you, Shells. And let's see, next down the line, I'm looking. Crazy Cat Lady. How you doing? Good to see you. Got to get my hellos in, right? So, Jay, you're in here, man. Hey, Jay, how you doing, buddy?
Well, StreamYard won't let me be. I can see the chat, but it won't let me be in the chat. So that's why I'm not in the chat.
Gotcha. Phyllis Taylor from Mandu. And Mandu is awesome. If you guys have not subbed to Mandu, would one of you please just drop his link down below? He's helped me a lot. We got John Lindy. Hey, John, how are you, bud? Let's see who else here. I know it sounds stupid, but I like to say hi to people. Flurg. Flurg, man, is a major inspiration. He's always funny. He's always there. He never misses a live. And if he does, there's a damn good reason for it. The Flurginator rocks.
Yes, he does.
Let's see. David. David's a UK guy. Cross seas, man. I met David about probably 4 years ago in a channel called UKPP2, which was a United Kingdom Predator Protection Channel 2, where he exposed everybody over there. David's been over there for years, along with a couple other people. Oakland Maid was actually a mod over there when I first met her. Let's see here. Who else do we have around? Oh, of course. Hey, guys, can someone drop the link for PYC? Protect Your Children. It's an awesome organization. They are helpful. They have a lot of assets for everybody to use. They have a live stream every Saturday at 8 o'clock. It's an awesome live stream. It's always projecting out the best information and awareness that we could possibly get our hands on. So could somebody please do that? And Chris is the man in charge of that. And he's just a really awesome, wonderful person. Much love, Chris. And then we've got Tracy, Servant of Christ. And that's like his number one person in that organization. And a nice good hello to you too as well. Tammy. Tammy is here. Sliding in late to class. Well, that's all right. We love you, Tam. Who else do we have? I'm not really sure. Oh, Zippity dropped in. Hey, Zip, if you're still here, love you. And Glitter Fart, my man, the gray man. Glitter's awesome, man. He always has something awesome to say. Nice, good comments. Next. I don't know. I might come to the end of our chat here. Let's see. I'm getting there. Dusty is here. Dusty, what's up, brother? Love you, man. And just to be sure, scroll down to the very end. Frida Pickle is here. How can we forget the pickle? Gotta love the pickle. Sorry, Frida. All right. And Kittens is here. Now, Kittens and Cooley, they are they used to decoy for Colorado Ped Patrol, Tommy out of Colorado. They went out to New York and they got their own thing going on. What an awesome crew, man. Love those guys so much. If someone can please drop the New York CCP channel, please do it. Please. Always been a major supporter of me, and I'll always love them right back. Let's see who else is down here. OJ Simpson dropped in the chat. Well, I got to, you know what? I got to go over here to YouTube, and I got to find OJ and give him a wrench.
Well, while you're doing that, I would like to say I love you all. You have the heart to stand up to this subject and not turn your back on it.
Yep. Hey, you know what? Go ahead, take over the stage for a minute. I'm going to check the chat here. And just, fill them in what grooming is and your thoughts on it, man. Because I know, hey, we're both old. So we're going to talk slow anyway. So I might as well take this second to go do what I'm going to do. And it's your show for a minute, bro.
Well, grooming and mainstream is just exactly what you explained. It's like these people who are at face value are stand-up people, family people, church people, whatever, and they really have a psychosis and are, I don't want to get too much into psychology here, but that's half the battle is understanding your enemy, and educating yourself, as what was said earlier. Uh, in the fringe areas, like the poorer people and the hoods and stuff, it's way easier because the kids are just running free, and um, the girls, especially when they become like 11, 12, 13, want to get the hell out of their away from their families. Um, there's a lot of drugs involved, and the ones who have the drugs, they're going to go after, and of course, they're also going to go after the girls because they equal money. Whether it's prostitution or having them sell drugs or stripping or anything in the sex industry, porn, they're gonna have them in there. And if anybody thinks that this hasn't been going on for a very, very, very long time, decades and decades and decades, and probably even longer, that's not true. It has been. It's just we know more about it now because we have more ways of getting information now. It's hard to find. I looked all over for, like, on the mafia, up what they used to control the Times Square sex trade. They say nothing about anything underage. They say nothing about anything. They say a little bit about the gay community back in the 70s and things. They don't say any. You don't hear it. You don't hear
You're
it in
right,
any of
man.
the charges, and there's reasons for that. They were
And
protected from it.
exactly. I'm back. Bro, it's awesome having you up here. I'm not going to cut it short yet. I'm sure a lot of people want to talk still. So what we're going to do now is we're going to open up. Man, I apologize. We had a Jay. Tell them how many videos we went through, man, trying to download and get ready.
About 2.5, 3.5 days. I went through personally myself, and with your help, because you're way, way better than I am at it. Probably a good 50 or 60, and it takes a lot of time. Let me tell you something. I am
Yeah,
barely
me and Jay went through 3 days straight from morning till night, talking on Facebook back and forth, phone calls, the whole 9 yards, man. Trying to get this set up, and I was gonna. Jay wanted me to do it the first night. I said, "No, bro, it takes a little bit more than you think," and it really does. It's just the fact that we wanted to be professional when he came out here, and it ended up just being a hodgepodge talk through over PowerPoints that we had. You know,
Yeah, I've learned something the last few days, and I do want to say this. You guys do not understand the work that this man puts in every day to put up the hit list, just the hit list. He does. It's a lot, and I'm just scratching the surface with it. He does a lot of work to put that out.
thanks, bro.
No,
So
thank you.
like what I was saying, we're gonna open up the chat for questions. I tell you what, I'm actually even going to post a link for anybody that wants to come up on the panel here. I know it's a free panel, so there's not going to be too many of us available to come up at a time. But let's see here. Okay, it's going to be like a first come first serve basis.
I think you
So
can put 8 up here or 12. If I remember, I've only did this one time, and I really didn't get to say nothing because somebody else took it
okay,
over.
here comes the link, guys. And you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if anybody came up at all either. That's quite okay.
Well, you can also just put like capital question and ask the question of either one of us, which I'll try to answer every question I can. I cannot get into certain things.
Well, what do you know? My son's home on time. Hey, Andy, how are you, buddy? Good, good. I got a live going.
AJ actually was there.
Well, no tickers yet. No big deal.
No questions?
Yeah, questions. Anybody got questions? Oh, wait. Cat Lady Kim is here. Hey, Cat. How are you? You know who I'd like to see up on panel? Flurg.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Bring it, Flurg.
Come on, Flurgmeister.
I doubt it. All right. Joe says his panel days are over.
Yeah, I get it.
That's quite all right. He said one day.
I get
One
it.
day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shannon Witter, welcome to the channel. You, my dear, get a blue dress. Sammy Joe is here. Predator Hunters, Indiana. One of my favorite catchers. Let's see who else. Okay. Well, that's quite all right. So you know what I'm going to do here? Rather than cutting it short, I'm going to shoot over here. Hey, Short Bus, what's up, brother? What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through a couple notes that I have. Give you guys a couple because I can't. I mean, I've got probably 50 screenshots that I want to just post through. Okay. Go over sextortion real quick. How about that? Those that are involved in people exploiting your children for sexual monetization. So, what basically what they'll do is they'll approach a child on social media after using it to learn about the child's interests, their friends, their school, their family, and what they're going to do is walk up to you. They'll talk to you either in person or online or whatever, and they'll become friends with you. And then quickly move in and ask for naked pictures immediately after following or friending a child on a social media platform or in person. They'll intentionally move their communications with the child from one online platform to another, usually like Telegram, Telegram, or Facebook, where it's encrypted, which means that the chats can't be tracked.
It's in the dark web.
Yeah, well, sort of. It's the dark web of the smartphone, pretty much, rather than the PC. I'll call it that.
Right.
So they'll bring them over there, so this stuff will just disappear after a while, and then they start to use their tactics. Their first tactic would be what we'll call reciprocation, which is, I show you, you show me.
Yeah.
So they'll send this kid a little fake picture of a nude, and then this kid's just gonna, oh, okay, I'm just gonna show one back, and then therefore introducing that child to pornography and making him accustomed to it, which is a very sad thing.
Well, chopper.
Another thing, well, they'll pretend to be working for like a modeling agency or something, and just over time encouraging that child to be more comfortable with their body and then expose them. Another thing, go ahead.
It's not just that. They also do it with the movie industry.
Oh, of course.
I'm a producer and get the young girls and guys to do that too. It's not the old modeling trick is one, and I'm a producer's one, and there's others too.
Yep, exactly. There's so many ways that these guys can get at our children. It's not even funny. Another thing would be they're going to go ahead and develop an emotional bond with the child, be it, say, friendship or a romantic relationship, and just get them to fall in love with their personality and then exploit them for it.
Yep. Love bomb them.
Yep. Using multiple false IDs to contact a child, like I'm 13, you're 13, hey, let's get together, and then Boom. Next thing you know, the kid's sending them sex pictures.
Yep.
It's just crazy. You know, they'll be the opposite sex, the same sex, whatever they need to do to get into that child's head, and they will do it. And it's pretty sad. And it's becoming more and more rampant. And not only do we have that to deal with, we've got now freaking AI to deal with. How sad is this shit? It's not only we got real people out here, we've got fake ones that are people are actually using AI to contact the children now, to hold conversations with the children now.
We have another problem
Talking
with it.
to chat. You can get that. You can get that program to seduce a child if you wanted to. This is just pure insanity.
We have another problem with AI too. The laws are not caught up with it. They're debating whether or not it's even, uh,
Real or not?
yeah,
Or
if it's
yeah.
illegal or not.
Well, like I was saying earlier, where I posted, I think it was a couple days ago, the United Kingdom actually stepped forth and made it all illegal. Here in the United States, there's a few states that have it as illegal, and
Yeah.
other ones it's iffy. They're trying to pass laws, but fortunately, these laws are they're coming through pretty hot, man. So we are starting to pass them and pass them like mad.
Yep.
But our
We need
whole
'em in front.
goal, as far as being um, advocates, we'll call ourselves advocates, um,
Mhm.
is to get these laws passed. My
Yeah.
main reason for having this channel is to expose these people and to gain awareness of what the hell is going on. So that way we can just turn around and we can tell other people about it.
Yeah.
Because, the more the merrier. We need a whole army of us to combat this stuff. And the more sneaky that they're getting, well, that's just going to take twice as many of us to expose that sneakiness.
Well, we can do other things too. We can do. I don't want to get into politics, but we can. You can contact your governor, your lieutenant governor, your attorney general of your state. You can do it at the federal level, and we can just email the shit out of them and tell them we're sick of this. We want the laws changed. And if enough of us did that on the state level and the federal level, sooner or later, they might start paying attention if they got enough.
Yep. I'm going to go ahead and pin this link. Should be pinned for anybody that wants to come up on panel here for a little bit. I'm not opposed to it. If anybody wants to talk about any of this stuff, please feel free to. Outside of that, I pretty much covered the bases that I wanted to. I mean, there's just so much to this stuff. It's not even funny.
Oh, it's a worldwide epidemic. It's a war, and we're losing the battles. We're
Yeah.
there. I probably just on my Facebook probably got about 100 of the predator catchers, and that's a good thing. But
Okay, we've got a couple people up here. We're going to welcome Elizabeth. Elizabeth is well known for being a moderator over on Mandu's channel. Much love and welcome to the stage, Elizabeth.
Thank you, Bryden.
You're very
off.
welcome.
I'm
And
off
on the other
YouTube
side,
jail.
we've got Mr. Deeds, 74 Deeds, who has been always a main supporter of what we stand for. Hey, Deeds, how are you, buddy?
I'm good. How y'all doing?
Good, good. All right, man. I'm gonna first. Let's give Elizabeth the stage. How you doing? What'd you like to say?
I'd like to ask Jay, how hard was it for you to leave that life behind to just say, I'm done?
for me personally,
Yes,
uh, I paid everything I owed. I handed in my shit, and I walked out the door.
good for
And
you.
they're not coming at me because they know what's going to happen if they do.
Good for you. And there's
Awesome.
one thing that I wanted to bring up is a lot of people think that, if it's an old uncle or a grandpa or, the old neighbor next door or the old lady that needs help, there is no age limit, young or old. to a predator.
No.
All
You,
shapes, sizes,
you
and
can't
ages.
let, you can't let your guard down. You
It's not even
just
about
can't.
sex. It's not
Yeah.
even about sex. It's about innocence and taking innocence.
And control.
Yeah, and domination, and you can't fix them, as Mandu has shown us many, many times. On by doing what, an area of law that we never see, which is the parole.
Hmm.
No one,
How many times have they been through it? Correct.
yeah, and they're bullshit. How big of risks they are. They're low risk and all this. That's complete bullshit.
Oh, that you mean the 10 question questionnaire that they get to fill out?
Yeah,
Right. And
and
they
the
always score a
program,
1 on it for some reason.
Yeah.
the fake ass programs that teach sociopaths what to say, what they want to hear, so they can get out and do it again.
That's
Well,
what the
and I
program
think
is.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Deeds.
Go ahead, Deeds.
That's all the programs do is teach them what to tell the board so they can get out and do it again.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, and depending on the board themselves during the parole hearing will tell that person what to say in order to get out.
Yeah, we've seen that a lot.
Yep. Especially in
Insanity.
Connecticut.
It's show business. It's show business is what it is. It's a big show. Like, oh, look what we're doing. It's like we see someone get caught, they get a $500,000 bond. Wow, okay, and the news flashes that. Well, 2 weeks later, they get a $10,000 bond, 10%. But the news don't show that.
Right.
Or Utah saying they get 5 to 100 years and they're up for parole in 3.
Exactly.
What?
It's
You
disturbing.
read my mind on
Now,
that.
if it was up to me, I don't know how we could possibly do this, but I would love to see somebody draft a bill and make all these CSA crimes federal with mandatory minimums with no parole. I don't know how the hell I can ever get that across, but that is one of my main goals.
I know how you can.
I've never seen a bill like that before in my life. I don't know who to even bring it up to. But
I know how
that
you can.
would solve that. I mean, seriously, because you've got all 50 states and a couple territories out here, and no one works together on this stuff. No one. States are independent unless it's brought up to a federal level because the state just doesn't want to handle it, or it's of a severe nature enough for the federal government to say, okay, I'll take over it. You know,
Well,
I think that one child enough is enough for our federal government to say, hey, no, you're not doing that. This is what you get, and I think it should be the same for everybody.
I agree it should work that way, but we all know it doesn't. I mean, I've written probably 35 different letters to 2 different governors in 2 different states or legislators,
Yeah,
representatives even, and never gotten anything other than a form letter in response. I've never gotten a phone call.
it's probably
Never.
automated.
You
Yeah,
won't.
yeah. You never get to talk to them, so
If
they never have to address real issues.
you won't, not as an individual, not as 10 people, not as 100 people. If we got together and put aside any channel rivalries or whatever and realized that this is about the kids, and we started doing what you just said you did, all of us and others that we know, some people are scared to have any interaction or put their name down with the government in any way, but think about all the predator catchers and the supporters and channels like this and that are out there. If we all got together and we put pressure state for state and on the federal government and actually use the news too, because they do not like being exposed to news. Oh, go to a news channel and say, oh man, we had 10,000 people.
Exactly. That's
And
what I'm talking
Yeah.
about. I'm
Oh,
sure that
really?
every one of us here, man, all up here on the panel, everybody in the chat we all stand for that and we all want that. It's just the fact that nobody ever, we don't do anything. We need to all get together and just actually do something.
Well, it had to
Because
be
believe it or
organized.
not, man, and just like our community here in the Project Catcher community, if we took everybody from say Tommy's channel and Alex's channel and Elizabeth's channel and Shafiq's channel and Rockstar's channel and Predator Catcher Indiana's channel and everybody's channel that we knew, and we took all those collective people and we put them all together, we would have an army force enough to make a difference.
That's what we need.
But we don't
Need-
have that.
You need a
It would
group
have
big enough that media is going to pay attention to it.
it
Like
had to
But
be
they would.
in
organized.
all reality, we all stand for the same thing, which is the protection of our children.
True.
We need this. We need to make this happen.
Well, it had to be
I mean, I'm
organized.
telling you, we got a couple million people here.
It had to be organized.
And then imagine the people that we've got, our so-called YouTube stars that just do it for fame and glory. You know what I mean? Like Vitaly and Skeeter and those guys.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, for sure. But
and they've got hundreds of millions of people right there alone that watch their content. So somebody higher up than me has to get this ball rolling, you know, because it has to happen. Look at our world. Look at how it's going. It's sickening. It's only going to get worse.
Well, and that what happened, what, a month ago or so, I was asked to join a forum on YouTube about predators and what I think needs to be changed. And I said, don't ask me if you don't want an honest answer. And they asked me, so I told them. And somebody turned my comments in, and I got YouTube banned for 2 weeks
yep,
because I was disrespectful. And I thought, I didn't say, I didn't use the words that YouTube, says don't use. You can't use the right,
Right.
the actual words. But because I didn't agree with letting them go to treatment as an alternative to prison, which I think is just crap. And I didn't
Right. Well,
say,
there's
I
a
didn't
reason
say
they say
crap,
no cure. You know what I mean? Total reason they say
and
no cure.
yeah, and it's just, and I thought, if you are asking me my opinion, I'm allowed to give it. And I told you beforehand, don't ask me if you don't want me to give an honest answer. And they said, how can you feel that way? And they said, because I'm a survivor and I have a right to feel that way. I
Right.
have a right to say that my abuser should have been sitting in prison so that he couldn't hurt other children down the line, which he was allowed to do.
yeah, over and over and over.
You can't cure this. It's not like alcoholism. This isn't something that can be treated.
I agree.
No, it
And
is a
most abusers are,
psychosis.
and most abusers are narcissists. And because of that, when they get these slaps on the wrist, they think, oh, see, I was right. I don't get, it doesn't do anything to me. I can go out and do it again and
Exactly.
again and again and again.
Well, like you said, they don't even look at people as people. They almost have a megalomaniac or a god complex. They look at them as an object
Yes.
for their use, for their kink, which is to take their innocence and to dominate. And it gets worse and worse and worse because as they get bored, they go further and further and further, and they can actually go into where, okay, I'm not going back to prison. I'm just going to start killing these kids and hiding their bodies. It happens.
And they do. And it happens, and it's when there's a couple of different laws. I think it's Amy's law is one, or Ashley's law, where this little girl was killed by a sexual predator who
Yep.
had a long history, and they kept letting him out, and that was, oh well, the last time I searched 3 years, so I better, not have any witnesses. It took them 5 years to finally catch the SOB. And then they finally said, oh, you know what? We're going to pass a law now that, if you do it 3 times, then you got to go to jail. 3 times is too many.
And look at this. Let me ask you this: in the earlier parts of it, when they caught him and he was going to jail, he didn't kill his victims. He got caught, and then he got caught, and then he got caught, and then he said, "I'm not getting caught anymore."
Yep.
That's where they went into psychosis. I mean, like deep psychosis, like psychotic. They went from sociopath to predator to psychotic.
Yep.
Okay, and psychology, and they do that.
I have a question for you, Jay. I don't know if you can answer it or not. But did you see a lot of trafficking? Was there trading of those victims, say, to like other clubs in other countries, and like for lack of a better term, the exotic side of it, or was it international? Or
yes, it is. But with me, I saw it firsthand. I mean, I went to some strip clubs and was treated like a king. I went to other clubs and was treated like a king. And, you know, I had them thrown at me. And no, I didn't. I had an old lady. I don't mess around on her anyway.
Right.
But, you know, I've had them. I've even had them. I'll tell you one story. I was in Flint at one of the nicer places that the Flint crew controlled, and they had a VIP section, and I was up. I told Bryden this. I was up in the corner at a round table, and they sent a girl at me, and she climbed under the table, and you know what she was going to do. And I've had them, you know, the VIP rooms and the lap dances, and when they give you a lap dance to a typical customer, you can't touch them. I mean, they're right next to you, and they're almost naked, and you can't touch them. For me, I could, you know, get on your knees or whatever the hell I wanted to do, and I don't touch them. As a matter of fact, I don't even accept them.
Good.
You know, I'm not into that. I'm not into that shit. And I had guys look at me and they're like, you know, we know he ain't gay. You know, what the hell's up with this guy? And I got a reputation for that. He's just a straight motherfucker. He's not gonna play that. You know, that's not his thing. It's the way he is. But I've seen, and it's not only strip joints. I've seen them take girls, bring 16-year-old, you know, whatever, we had private parties that were just us. We had private parties that were just us and other clubs and personal people we invited. We had huge public parties that we went to where other clubs were at. And we had our own section, and you don't come in it. If you try to, you're told you can't. And if you persist, you're going to get knocked the fuck out. But they'd bring girls there, and them girls would just, you know, I mean, be just used, okay, by a bunch of guys. I've seen all kinds of that nasty shit.
Kind of makes you sick to your stomach, didn't it?
16, 17, you know, 15, whatever. It's, you know, older women too. You know, and some of them are all down for it. They're down for it. You know, I've seen
because they've been groomed to be down for it.
Well, yeah. I mean, I've seen some nasty shit that is nasty. I mean, you know, I was at one party. I had the chapter warlords and the nomads would fill in too. I'd put them at points, and we had radios that had our own special crystals so that they were only on our frequency, which the government can get to. They put us way in the back up against these woods and in a huge ass section. and there was Hell's Angels was down there. This was in Kentucky. Hell's Angels was down there. It was a big, huge public party too. It was huge, and one of my chapter warlords from my chapter, this girl was walking down the dirt road, and she was stumbling, fucking drunk, and him and another guy from my chapter he just walked out, took her by the shoulders. They took her in a fucking tent with all the things open, and they pinned her up both ends. And next thing you know, there's a line of guys, shit like that. Just fucking shit, you know. These guys don't. A lot of them just don't give a fuck, man, at all.
That's crazy.
Oh,
Thanks for the input, Jay.
They're crazy.
Man,
They're beyond crazy. A lot of them are on. I used to have to put guys, make them lay down after who knows how long they've been up on meth or coke. Take guns off them, make them go lay down. Don't give a shit if you sleep or not. You're gonna lay the hell down. I did all kinds of stuff like that.
so in case anybody is new here, Jay used to be the enforcer, the national enforcer for the Avengers, which is a 1% motorcycle club out of Michigan, but went nationwide. In fact, I had a whole slideshow of where the chapters went from there. So he's pretty darn credible as to what he's talking about. I know this for a fact. I've known Jay for a long time. Just over in the court community until recently, where he says, screw that. He believes that our community is more important, and what we do over here is essential to saving children.
I like court, but this is, business for pleasure, man. This is more important. Way more important.
Thank you, brother, and we're glad you're here with us.
Well, one of the things that Kathy from Australia said once when we had that live is all the laws or all the sentencing in Australia it's the same throughout Australia. It doesn't go from, one place or like every state has its own sentencing guidelines, where in Australia, they're the same. So it doesn't matter if, you're up north or completely down south, you get caught, you're going to face the same sentence. And we don't have that here. And
exactly, Elizabeth, exactly. And that's why I say it needs to be federal.
It needs to be, because, unless they're trading over the internet, and they'll say, oh, they've done CP. There is no such thing as child pornography. It's SA. I don't want to get you banned, pardon. I don't want to get myself
Child
banned again.
sexual assault
Well,
material.
assault. That's what it is, and they need to
I'm
put
not
the
scared
same
to say
CP. It's not pornography when it includes children. It's assault.
Thank you.
And if they can't even agree on that, and like Deed said, I mean, I've written letters, I've gone to meetings, I've sat down in city hall meetings, I've sat down in school meetings, I've gone, I went to in California when we lived in California, and you want to see a screwed up state, go to California. But they all just say, well, you shouldn't, we can't discuss that in an open forum. And it's like, it's happening in your schools.
Well, we
you've
can
got to
discuss
be
it
able to
here
discuss
because
it.
I'm not monetized. So I don't care what you say here.
But
And it's only going to be one strike and I'm allowed 3. So
you've got to be able to, people need to quit thinking it's not happening, and years ago it was, yeah, you could beat the crap out of your kids. I mean, when I was little, we just called them the sperm donor. My father almost beat my youngest brother, to death. He thought he killed him. He got the shovels and the picks and was going to go bury him until he picked him up and he breathed. And he went, oh, he goes, oh, you are alive.
Yeah, I grew up in that generation.
Yeah, well, and My brother was 13, and my mom took him and my father into the local DA's office. My brother, at 13 years old, had to drop his drawers to show him where my dad had beat him with a 2x4. And the
Yep.
DA looked and said, "Well, you look like a nice family. I'm sure it won't happen again." And on the way home, he told my mother, he said, I'll kill you and all your fucking children if you ever do that again." And he meant it, and he would have done it.
Yep.
You know, so the laws in that sense are changing, but they're waiting so long until a child loses their life after somebody's been a habitual predator and done something, and then they're all outraged. And no, you should have been outraged the first time they put their hands on a child. That's when you should have been outraged. You know, not the fourth
Exactly.
time, not the fifth time, the first time.
And that person should have been locked up for the total amount of time that they deserved and not let loose.
Lock them up for as long as that child's
One
going to
fifth of the
suffer.
time earlier.
Yeah,
Yep.
no more of
Like
these concurrent sentences. They're bullshit.
yeah. Yeah. Oh, they've been charged 30 times, so they get a concurrent. Well, did they do it all at the same time? No.
And
Right.
it all
You know, they
boils
didn't.
down to money. That's what it's all about, because the prison system nowadays is it's privatized.
Private. Yep.
A lot of people don't know that, but when they say state prison, it's not state prison. You're going to go to an independent facility where the guards are not state authorized. Nothing is. They just have to follow a certain guideline in order to make money off of you. They're going to house your prisoners, and once they get that housing commission from the state, they will do their best to let that prisoner go so they can get another one in there and get the same amount of money for that one.
Yep.
And a lot of people don't know that,
We
but
It's a
figured out
that's
a
a
really
straight up
corporation.
cheap island.
100% fact.
It's totally like
So what they'll do is they'll send you to a state prison, like here in Michigan. They'll send you to Jackson Prison. Jackson is an actual state prison, but once you're in Jackson, Jackson has the actual authority to send you to a non-state place, and they call them camps,
Mhm.
to spend the rest of their time at. Now, these camps actually have the ability to change that prisoner's sentence and let them loose so they
Yep.
can gain more people into their system.
Yep.
Something that a lot of people, like I said, they just have no clue how this works. And
The
if you look
prisons
up the
are
way that works, it's just total. It's ludicrous. It's
yeah, they're
insane.
incorporated.
They still call them
It's a revolving
workhouses
door.
here.
What did you say, Deets? They still call them what?
They still call them workhouses here
Mm-hmm.
in Tennessee.
It's
The same thing Bryden was just talking about. They call them
The
workhouses
camps.
here. Yeah, the
Yep.
camps they call them workhouses here.
Yeah,
yeah.
they're not prisons. They're camps.
Yeah,
And
yeah, very
you
low
can be like
security.
a felony two offender, and you can be out on a road somewhere working, or in somebody's private factory working. Even they do that.
Or
Oh, that
calling people. Telemarketing is big. Things like that too.
or CDLs. How many have we seen on parole that are getting their CDLs or have gotten their CDLs while they've been in prison?
Yeah,
If
that
you wanted
bothers
to do it
me.
on the outside, it'd cost you $5,000, but you can do it on the inside and get your CDL.
Yeah.
And then they're all over the country
Yep.
Yeah.
doing the same
More.
shit over and over and over again.
Not to cut you guys off, but Shannon Witter, Baca is awesome. They're one of the one of my heroes. They've helped a family of mine's child as well. If you guys don't know who they are, BACA stands for Bikers Against Child Abuse,
Yep.
and they will actually go to court with your child. They will stand outside your child's house on their motorcycles, and they will protect your children. I've always admired them.
I'd
So
do it.
Yep.
anyway, back to
I've
whatever.
seen them. They're awesome.
Reading chat.
They actually give those kids a sense of
Give them a
safety.
backbone.
Yep, they do. And what, like you said, the camps or the workhouses, one of the things when we were in the military, and I had just come back from Somalia, and they were closing down Fort Devens in Massachusetts. And there were still, but I mean, we were still living there, and we still had, there were still places. And one of the things they wanted to do was turn it into a minimum custody prison, or basically, a work camp with
Yeah.
with the military still there. Now, one of the things that saved us is that they had a guy who had been charged with manslaughter,
Mhm.
um, had been or charged with second degree murder. They dropped it to manslaughter. He got like 15 years. He'd done 8. He was actually on work release, walked away and turned around within 6 months and killed a family of 3. And those were the kind of people that they wanted to put on base with us.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we're like,
Just let them walk
you,
around, right? They're
yeah.
not going to
It's
do
like, are
anything.
you bonkers? And they're like, well, it would be minimum security. And we're like, yeah, we know. What happened 3 months ago with one of your minimum security people? They, wiped out a family of 3. That's all we have here are, families. And then they decided, well, no, it wouldn't work because the barracks that, of course, military personnel could live in, they weren't adequate for prisoners because they would have to share bathrooms. And we're like, okay, we do it all the time. Come on. But that actually, the hospital there is where they have one of the Boston Marathon bombers. It is a prison hospital now. But
I,
it's crazy, they think, oh, well, they're not dangerous. Yes, they are. Just because, look at how many cases we've seen where they've, dropped it to nothing. And that's why they get these slaps on the wrist.
Here's a class point example here. John Wayne Gacy, right?
Yep.
You
Yeah, what
guys know
about
who he is.
Oh,
He
yeah.
was one of the girls considered him one of the best looking men that they'd ever seen in their life. He had no prior criminal history. And look at just look at how many women that he raped and killed.
No, he did boys.
He did boys. You're
Well, yeah,
talking about,
boys. Sorry.
um,
He was the
what was
clown
his
man.
name?
Yep.
You're talking about Ted Bundy.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, you're talking about
Yep.
Bundy.
Sorry, I get them all mixed up.
Yeah.
I'm
There's
so
so
glad
many of them, but
Florida.
none of them, none of those major ones had any prior criminal history. They all just floated through life like nobody knew who they were. You never know. So
John
when
Wayne
they
Gacy
say
had his picture taken with Rosalind Carter, the
Yeah.
first lady.
Yep.
that's insane.
He did.
Bundy was worked for the Republican Party, and actually,
Yep.
Diane Rice
Yep.
was her friend.
Just goes to show you. I
Yes.
mean, so when they say what's your, they go over the scores when they go up in front of the parole board, or when they get sentenced, the scores don't mean anything.
No.
They absolutely mean nothing at all. So I don't even know why they use them. They should just go by what the crime was, how it was committed, and the time that you're going to get for it. Are you innocent or guilty? Slap the gavel down and you're done.
They won't do that though, because for the same reason they won't go federal. I don't think that the federal agencies could handle the load and the extreme.
Well, they would just have to switch all the prisons over to federal and make that money go to the government. And half of that money could actually be spit back to victims.
Well, here's
Who
the
are,
thing: we have
No,
25%, and it's climbed in the last couple of decades of our population somewhere within the DOC, federal or state level, and it's all about money. And children don't make money. Drugs make money. They can seize assets. They get big headlines. They get promotions. Children don't bring money, so they're very low priority. They make a show of it being a priority, but they don't give a shit.
Facts.
That's why I always pop in during Bryden's videos when the principal will come on when they're talking about a Shomo teacher, and I'll be like, "Yeah, top priority," and they'll say it almost every
Mhm.
freaking time.
Oh,
But
Yeah,
it
Our
keeps
because
children's
happening.
that's a
safety.
key word in one of their little disclaimers after somebody gets caught being like a
they
teacher
that shit
molesting a
was rolled.
child.
That shit was
Yeah,
rolled.
it's
Well,
on the
and
script.
it's like with the police department and the teachers that are caught, and they say they've been put on administrative leave. But what they don't say is they've been put on administrative leave without
With
pay.
yeah,
These guys
with
are
pay.
still getting paid.
Yeah.
I put it in the chat earlier. My nephew was a police officer with the sheriff's department, and I can't say where because he had to sign a whatchamacallit,
Okay.
non-disclosure form. He turned in 3 officers that were dirty, that were, I mean, it it was bonkers. To include the sheriff himself. Um, the DA indicted all of them. They didn't lose their jobs for over a year. Now, at the time, my nephew ended up getting demoted because he was late for his shift 3 times, quote
Yeah, they're
unquote, is
all
what
out
he
after
said.
him.
Yep.
Yeah, they were after him. And
I
he
knew
said
you
there
were
were
gonna
times when he knew that the partner he was on with, like, they weren't actually riding together, but they were each assigned a partner, from car to car. He said, God forbid I have to do a call and need him because I'm gonna get shot. So he left. He said, I'm done. I'm out of here.
Uh huh.
And then when the DA brought charges, finally brought charges a year later, they allowed the sheriff to retire, not fire him. They allowed him to retire with full benefits. And then I guess they did fire the other guys. But my nephew was like, bullshit. And then when he said, you know what? I'm going to because the fact that the sheriff got fired was a big thing. And he said, I'm going to the news about this because you guys aren't giving out the whole story. And then they said, well, we'll tell you what, we'll settle with you for this so much amount of money, which basically he would have gotten if he just stayed there for a few
Hush
years.
money.
Yeah, it was hush money. But he said I was desperate.
Sad.
I'd lost my job. He said basically I was blacklisted with every other department
Yep.
because I had done the right thing.
It's that
Yeah.
way. It's exactly that way all over. My nephew works at a prison. He's a CO. And my advice to him when he started doing this a few years ago or several years ago was first of all, don't get friendly with any other prisoners because even if that one is all right, they might use someone else might use him to get to
Do
you
you?
somehow. They have 24 hours. You're there 12 hours a day. They have 24 hours a day to think of how to get what they want. Second of all, if you see anything going on with the guards, uh, mind your business. Don't tell on them, but don't get involved in it.
Hmm.
Because if you
Yep.
tell on them, you're the one that's going to get it in the ass. I didn't tell him that, but that's the way it is.
It's a see nothing, say nothing policy.
Yeah,
Hmm.
exactly.
And
And
then
don't get involved in their shit, even if it's a lot of money. Bringing in even bringing in cell phones or tobacco and shit, and it's money because it's contraband. You don't even, and they don't even consider. That's not hard stuff. That's not like I'm bringing in meth and heroin and shit. I'm bringing in tobacco, and I'm getting big money for it, and they do it. A lot of stuff that gets in jails and prisons is from guards,
Mhm.
like
Well,
we were
it's
dirty cops earlier.
there's a there's a thing that one of the things that, like, when we were little, everybody said, well, we didn't know how bad it was. We knew something was going on, but we didn't know how bad it was. And it's like, if you knew something was going on, how come nobody said anything? But at that time, it was, like I said, I mean, even going to the DA, they said, oh, it won't happen again. Or, it was just not, it wasn't as it is today. So my saying is dare to offend. If you think you know something's going on, don't stay quiet because you might offend somebody. Dare to offend. See something, say something.
That's
You
it.
know, if there's nothing going on, then there's nothing going on. But if you don't say anything, and if you don't say, you know, I have an inkling, just do it.
Right, because if something happens, then you know deep down inside that you could have stopped it. You
Yep.
know, and there's so many guilty people walking around today that know that they had a chance to say something and didn't. It's
Yeah.
just I don't know. You know, they
Yes.
say
Because
money is a god, right? And it's true. How many people bow down to money rather than,
Mhm.
you know, their
In,
own children or someone
in gold
else's?
we trust.
Mhm. Well,
Yes.
you know,
Yeah, that's why we have security guards at banks, but none at schools.
yeah, or our resource officers at schools, you know, how many of them are actually predators themselves, and they put themselves in the
Yeah,
position
probably
to
one
be
out of
by those
five.
kids.
Yeah, we saw a lot of that last night.
Yep,
It's amazing.
I I
because
can
they
solve
want that's how
real
they
quick.
get to know the kids. They know which ones, you know, are vulnerable, and those are the ones they prey on, and even some that aren't. Look at the female teachers. You know that they've got a 14-year-old kid, a 14-year-old,
So
you know,
many more of them coming out of the woodwork
yeah,
nowadays too. It's not even
because you
funny.
know
Uh,
it feels good for these women to be wanted by a 14-year-old kid. He's a kid, for crying out loud.
Our latest ones, like our good friend Chris from PYC earlier tonight, 11 years old,
Oh
and they
my
got
Lord.
sexual.
So
11.
I don't know if y'all can hear my dogs, but they're going nuts. So I'm gonna hop off if someone would like my spot.
All
Sorry
right,
to
there,
interrupt
Mr.
y'all.
Deeds.
I did
Hey,
not
You
mean
have
man,
a
to
good night,
affect her.
Deeds. Be
always a
safe.
pleasure to have you, and thanks for dropping up on the panel tonight, man. Appreciate you.
It's my pleasure as always, brother.
yes, and I love your icon, man. I do. That's great.
It
That's
is.
actually on my wood chipper.
Yes, Fred Chipper.
Where'd you
Love
get
it,
that,
man.
Deeds?
That's the
It's
isn't that the Arbor Freight brand Predator?
yeah, it's
I
a
knew it.
Harbor Freight special wood chipper.
Hey, I
It's
know my wood
212
chippers, man. Can you
cc.
tell?
Perfect.
See, we
Perfect.
have one from Barretto that's red like that. It's Barretto. My daughter works for a company called Barretto, and they make wood chippers. And we've got she got us a great deal on a big old wood
Yeah,
chipper.
that's an actual sign. I love it.
So
I
I'd
just
like to
couldn't
get one that's,
I couldn't fit the whole thing because of the circle,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right, man.
but
Hey,
You
shrink
can
it
still
down.
get the idea.
Shrink it down a little bit. Shrink the
It's
picture
oh yeah,
down. You'll get it in
I
there.
didn't think about
Well, you can
scaling it
see
down.
it says Fred Chipper.
yeah, it's good enough for me. I
This
like
is
it.
Fred Chipper. I
Yeah, I
like
got
it.
the point apart,
Yeah.
point across, right?
Hey, love
Yep.
you, Deeds, man. You have yourself a wonderful night, man.
Yeah.
I love y'all. Thank you for having me, Bride. I
All right,
appreciate it,
buddy.
Stay
brother.
safe, Deeds.
Thank you, Jay, for really opening my eyes to some aspects of that I'd never thought of before.
Well, you're
Appreciate it.
most welcome. You're most welcome.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
You're
Bye,
welcome, man.
Deeds.
Have a great night.
That's why I
Love
came
that
into
guy,
my
man.
shooting
Deeds is
shed.
awesome. He's always been around. He shows up everywhere, unexpected. Always been one of the best supporters in the community.
He's a good guy. So are you, Bride.
You're
Oh,
welcome,
gee, thanks.
Charlie.
You know it.
I don't know, Jay, if you know I call Bryden my brother from another mother.
Yeah, he's my brother.
We need more channels like this. We need more people to just stand up and say something. Get this stuff out there, spread awareness.
You know,
I've
I
been
wish
fighting with
that
these damn false teeth all night long. Keep want to pop out of my mouth.
Yeah.
Oh God, I'm getting old. But
I'd
I'm,
like
you know
to
what? I'm
find
not
somebody
scared to
like
say it. I
Holly.
am not. I'm not self-conscious anymore. I've grown a lot since I got into this community. This community is one reason why that I it made me care. You know,
I think you've always
kids
cared,
are
Bryden.
everything to us.
I think it's
I think,
a natural person, a normal person is wired to protect children and weaker, especially as if you're a man, in my opinion.
Yes.
And in nature, it's
mm,
that way too. You know, with animals, with a lot of animals, not all of them, but I think that's a natural thing. And people who don't aren't right.
Well, there's if you guys are familiar with the ACEs, right?
The
mhm,
who?
Uh, ACEs,
Oh yes, yeah,
adverse childhood experiences.
yes.
They say that there's a point system. I put a video out on it a couple times,
Right.
and I'm kind of a prime example of what happens to people that are on the higher test score. I had a really messed up life, um, in and out of jail for stupid reasons. I became involved in drugs and alcohol. I'm still fighting the alcohol part. I messed my family up. I messed my whole life up. And as a consequence of that, you know, within the last couple of years, I felt that it was my responsibility to let other people know this is what happens to victims of child sexual abuse. This
Yeah.
is what happens when you get messed up inside. And when people say, okay, well, this guy got 3 years in jail, but it messed a child's life up, and meaning their whole life, this is exactly what it means.
yeah.
You
And when
know,
are they going to make these monsters start paying restitution? Now
they don't.
they don't. Now, I mean, they're offering at least some type of therapy for survivors. Where years ago they don't. Why can't these guys have to, oh, I'm going to go out and get my CDL. Fine, then you know what? We're going to garnish your wages. And you're
I
going to
got you.
start paying for the therapy that these kids go through. And Bryden, I think you've always cared. It's just being able to say, like I said, being a part of this
Yes,
group. Um, I mean, I've never, how can I say this? My family knows about physical abuse from my narcissistic sociopathic father. And
Mm-hmm.
my siblings know about the sexual abuse from my uncle. But it's actually, I would never, ever have spoken publicly about it until watching or in viewing your videos and being in your chat and seeing Mandu's videos and being in his chat. I didn't have that strength to speak publicly about it.
that's
And
that's why I'm here. I want everybody to be able to say that.
now
And
I can. And, you know,
thank you.
I've become more and more outspoken about it. And I will never, somebody said, oh, you need to forgive him because it's good for you. I said, I don't have to forgive him. And, somebody said, well, it's good for you to forgive. I said, no, I don't have to forgive him. I can be numb to him. I don't know, I couldn't tell you what year my dad died. I just, you know,
I
it was
get it.
self-preservation to cut
Exactly.
myself off from him.
I
We've
get it.
And the
got
last time, yeah, it was just, it's a self-preservation. And that's what I did. I just said, nope, don't want to have anything to do with you. I mean, there was
well, we
one
don't blame
time,
you. We've got
the,
PHI to the stage. Sammy Joe, welcome.
Hello.
hey,
How are you guys?
we're
And if
Fantastic.
you
good. How
guys
are
are not familiar, I'm
you?
sure pretty much everyone is, but Sammy Joe is a predator catcher,
Hello.
and
Hello.
she has a
And
lot
a
of
good one.
experiences dealing with these child predators. So, Sammy, floor is yours.
Man, I just wanted to say, I heard somebody, uh, I'm not sure who was up here because I was kind of doing stuff and still listening at the same time. But I heard him talking about politics. Um, and I just want to say, when you guys go vote, if you vote, and if you don't, you should. Because the people who make these laws are the people that we put in there. right? And you don't have to just vote one straight ticket. Like, you can look at each person, do your research, because those people are the ones that are going to change the laws or make the laws for these predators. Okay, it takes your vote first.
And Sammy,
Exactly.
that's one of the reasons
Right
I
down
always
to
say
the
to somebody,
local level too, because our
someone,
district
yeah,
attorneys make everything. You can
and the
have the
judges.
next a county over, you can have an opposing district attorney. And that could be changed through
Well,
votes.
yeah, absolutely. That's the key, is looking at who you're voting for and looking at who you're putting in charge, because those are the ones that make these laws and keep these people from being prosecuted. Believe it or not.
Yeah.
So yeah, and excuse me, when you see somebody's catch, share that shit. Share it. Share the fuck out of it. Share the fuck out of it, because that's going to raise awareness. That's going to put whoever did that catch, if they have more catches, that's going to put that out into the algorithm. They're going to be seen more. So it's so important to share all of that, share that information. And again, like he said earlier, if you see something, say something. Don't sit on
And
your
not
hands
only
and be
that, it's
scared.
going to get that predator exposed more.
Yeah,
So
don't sit on your
even if he
hands and
does
be
get
scared.
off, he'll be out in
Stand
his
up,
community and people will be looking at him going, "Hey, I
take a
know that guy."
stand. Yeah, take a stand. Stand up. The police are people just like you, and you can report a crime if you see one. It's not you that's doing it. If you see something, say something. These are little kids. I've
Well,
decoyed
and
them. I've decoyed them as young as 11 and in a wheelchair.
oh my God.
So let that sink in, that the guy, he set up a meetup with an 11-year-old girl that was paralyzed.
That's sad.
Well, and you wonder if it would have actually been an 11-year-old girl, would she have come home?
Had I not
Would
showed
she?
up that day and he was talking to a real 11-year-old girl, it would have been an 11-year-old girl there.
Yeah.
Yep.
But would that girl, I mean, if that was a real 11-year-old paralyzed girl, would she have even come home? Would she have ever been seen again?
Well, guess
Nope.
what? He didn't
Probably
get a
not.
chance. He didn't get the chance that day because he met PHI. So,
Good for you, Sammy.
hmm
Well, and
Yeah,
that's one thing people will say, are you Democrat or Republican? I say, I'm neither. I'm independent. I don't care if you're a Democrat or Republican. I look at your record. I see what you voted for. I see where you stand. And that's how I judge you. If,
yep, and that's
you're a
exactly what
DA,
he should do.
and I'm sorry, but if you're a DA and you have a 100% conviction rate, there's something wrong. Because that means you're making deals where people are easy or walking. And I want to see what you're prosecuting on and what kind of sentences you're giving. And it's all public record. You can go and get it. I
Yeah,
mean,
and that's key, is just looking at who you're voting for, look at who you're putting in charge of your kids, because ultimately, I mean, they're in charge of the schools and all of that good stuff, the police. And so look at who you're putting in charge of your children.
Facts.
You're going to need somebody in there to defend your children. Look at if those people are going to do that or not before you click that button.
and see, we had this problem. We had already left, and my grandson, one of the kids, I mean, this, school shootings, and there's more ghost guns in California than there are registered guns. But this kid threatened to shoot my grandson. He said, and the teacher heard him and said, well, you shouldn't say that because you could go to jail. And he said, I'd go to jail for that.
Hmm.
And he did it because my grandson's gay.
Well, that's
And
considered a hate crime, I would think.
well, they pulled him out of school because when they went and talked to the school, they were like, well, we're investigating it. He wouldn't really do that. And I thought, this kid's 17 years old.
Good night, Joe.
You, you know, are you're telling me that, and then they did finally yank him out of school. And his dad had guns and they weren't registered. So it's like,
yeah. See,
yeah,
I can fix
it's a
that problem real
problem.
quick. I
Well,
can fix that problem real quick. They talked about making all these gun laws harder to get guns and stuff. Now, I used to deal with a lot of guns, okay, in the 90s.
Well,
and step up with the laws. It's real simple. You start prosecuting the assholes that let the kids get a hold of the guns and ammo, and
Yep.
hard prosecuting them. Make them
I mean,
laws.
I grew up with guns. We've had guns our whole lives. But when my kids were born or when my kids were old enough, we taught them gun safety. Before they could put their hands on a gun, they took
Same
a gun safety class.
you know,
They know how to shoot. They
that's
know how to handle their guns. They
that's
know they're
the only
responsible.
cure, I think.
But we
Pardon?
were brought up on, Call of Duty since we were 3 or 4 years old, and all that fantasy killing that these kids get to play and all that stuff. We wouldn't even have thought about going into a school and shooting. I mean, I always had access to shotguns and 22 rifles to go hunting
I wish
and
I could say that. I wish
all
I
the
could say
time.
that. The high school that I went to, they were absolutely shooting at the high school that I went to, and I'm
Oh
50,
my God.
and
Well, when I
so
went to
yeah,
Benton Harbor, it was that way. Yes,
yeah. I
but
mean, it was absolutely that way. It just wasn't talked about as much. It wasn't publicized as much until the boys walked in with their trench coats. Remember
Yeah.
yeah,
when that happened? Then it became more prominent. You started seeing it more often because then they started talking about it more.
Well,
It's
and
not that it
when,
wasn't happening; it just wasn't being publicized like it is
Yeah,
now.
once it hits the news and everybody hears about it, it gets
Yeah,
into more kids' heads, and then
yeah,
more kids go out and do it.
yeah. It wasn't.
well,
It was happening. It just wasn't being publicized like it is now. Like you got kids
Right.
that are pulling their phones out, recording the shit, or going live when it's happening.
yeah.
yep,
So
You know, when,
and part of that reason, that part of that is the reason why when my kids were teenagers, they didn't get a device put in their hand. They didn't get that access to the entire world in their hand. They were too young for that. And
Yep.
parents need to take a stand and not think that their 11 or 10 or 12-year-old child needs to have a cell phone and have that direct connection to the entire fucking planet.
But what
yeah,
we see is the complete opposite. Nowadays, parents are giving those children the cell phone as a babysitter to
Well,
keep
that's what
them
I'm
over there
saying.
and left
That
alone.
that's what I'm saying. Parents need to stop giving these little kids, they are fucking little kids, giving them telephones and saying, "Here you go." They need it. When they're not around me, they need it. Look, I wasn't around my mom for 10 to 12 hours a fucking day when I was in school, and we did just fine, right? Without a phone.
well,
I
that's
didn't
like
have a cell phone.
our neighbor, one of our neighbors gave their 5-year-old a cell phone. I thought,
That's
what does a
fucking ridiculous.
5-year-old need a cell phone for?
you know what they
You
say?
know,
It's for an emergency. Bullshit.
No,
There's
fuck
20 other
that.
people that got cell phones around them.
Nope. If they're
at
going
5 years
somewhere,
old, what kind of
if
emergency are you gonna
if they're
have?
going somewhere where where there's not going to be a phone, they don't need to be going there.
It's a fucking excuse, is what it is.
Absolutely. And if
You
they're
know what I
going
like,
somewhere where
guys?
like there's supposedly going to be adults there, then there should be a phone there. If there's an emergency, they'll be able to get to a phone. That's just nonsense.
You know
You're
what I like
None of,
here? I like
you're
the
putting
fact that we're all angry. But
hey,
we're all angry. We're not angry at each other.
not
We're
at all.
angry at the same thing.
well,
Absolutely.
I
my
think every single one of us are so pissed off about this stuff that we
grands
might
all
be
got
able to do something.
I calmed
my
myself down for hours before I came here. I watched comedy. I listened to
He
calm
did.
music,
He's not
rather than
lying. He
CD
told
and
me.
things like that. I did that because I knew.
I'm not really angry. I'm more hurt than angry. I just have a lot of passion inside of me and you hear it in my voice. Like you can hear my emotion. Um I look, I caught a guy that did 7 years in prison for molesting his 8-year-old niece 28 days after he got released.
oh my
28 days he was back online talking to my 12-year-old decoy and telling her to come and meet him at his daddy's house when his dad goes to church on Sunday.
That shit don't surprise me a bit.
So I've seen so much wild shit now after doing this for it's actually my 3-year anniversary is right here. So
Congratulations, too.
I've seen so much of it that
Hi, Audrey.
I've been groomed.
Sammy, did he get a deal? Do you know?
He got a parole violation, so he has to do the 3 years that was left of his first sentence, and he got sentenced to 4 years on my case. So
So
he's doing another 7 years.
So when's it going to be up for parole? 4 years?
2 years.
Honestly, I haven't checked on that part of it yet because I don't like that letdown.
That's
yeah.
how that shit works.
Well,
I know
in some
that.
states it's like a
I
day
know
for
that.
day.
Like we
Some
all know
But
states
that.
it's 2 days for 1 day, and then
We
what
all know
happens
that.
is you get your 2 days in for your 1 day,
Well,
and that
here,
actually decreases your parole date.
here
So you
he'll
can
have to.
actually get sentenced 7 years, and you can be out in 2.5.
Well, he'll have to do that 3 years backup time, no matter what, the whole 3 years,
Well, that's
and
good.
then
because he was caught.
the 4 years he'll have to do 85% of that at least.
Well, they
So
say.
Got to make this federal. It's got to be federal.
I personally,
Sammy, where are you? What state are you in?
I'm in Indiana.
I love Indiana. It's a great state.
Yeah,
Howdy, neighbor.
it's all right, neighbor. It's
Right
all
here in
right.
Michigan too. So
I love coming to Michigan, though.
I lived in Michigan for a while.
I love
yeah,
going to Michigan. The Michigan police, like, they work with us, and like I have to say that I was told by one department that they love it when we show up. So, yeah, I love coming to Michigan.
One of
yeah,
the things that I think that helps when you spread things like the way that you do it, Sammy, and the way like the top-notch spread catchers do it is it shows that as much as the police have put up task force and
Wait,
things, there's not enough.
are you putting me
And
with the top-notch catchers?
yes.
Because that's a hell of a compliment. Thank you.
Well, but that's what I mean. You're doing it the right way. You're getting the police involved. You're keeping the records. You've got the evidence. You're showing it to them, so that these guys can't just walk away.
Well,
And
and that's why I don't have 500 catches, because I want each one to be started and finished the right way every single time. And if I get 500 catches, there's no fucking way that me myself am going to be able to keep up with that, right? So,
but it shows that even though yes, they are putting task force out for this, but there's not enough. It's so prevalent,
oh, absolutely not. It's
and
disgusting how bad it is.
There can
and it
never be
really
enough. Just like the videos that I put out there, I could sit there all day long and dig through these news channels. By the time that I'm done posting, there's twice as many there than when I started with.
yeah.
It's never ending at all.
I
Really
don't know
quick
how
while
you
I
do it,
got you
Bryce.
guys, I need to step out for about 5 minutes. My son's friend's car broke down right behind my vehicle, so I got to go out and give him a jump. I will be
Okay.
right back.
okay.
So
Okay.
keep it rolling.
Keep put some clothes on because it's snowing and it's coming towards you.
Oh, no.
I already know, man. All right, I'll be right back, guys.
Okay, buddy. Yeah, I was wanting to ask you, Sammy. Do
Mhm.
you know anything about like detective work and like the read technique? Or any of that?
I do. But here's the thing with that for me. I'm not trying to be a cop. I don't want to seem like I'm trying to be a cop. And I
Well,
have way too much emotion to get through it like that,
Mm.
because
right.
I'll tell them real quick that they're a piece of shit.
Well, what they want to do is keep them talking.
Oh, I keep on talking. I
So
keep
that they
on
can
talking. I
get
just don't use the
evidence.
read technique to do it.
Well, the read technique's actually outdated anyway, but
Yeah.
it's they keep them talking to get the evidence, to keep them
Absolutely.
give them evidence, and
Absolutely. But you have to remember something, and this is something that I've brought up to others that do this. If you're standing there and you have those chat logs, right? I've had 200 pages of chat logs in my hands. And you're standing there and you're reading these chat logs. You're live. You got, I don't know, 1,000 people in there, 1,200. I don't know
okay.
if you're one of the bigger catchers. You've got 6,000 people in there, right?
Yeah.
And you're standing there and you're reading these chat logs word by word, and you're saying, you know, this is you, right? And you're getting your answers and you're getting all the information, but you're also disclosing your evidence.
That's it. You
Yeah.
get
So
more evidence.
for me, I ad lib most of the time, and because most of them give the same bullshit reasons, I will ad lib long enough to keep them there for the police to show up. Then once the police show up, then I discuss with them the chat logs and the evidence and what was said and what was sent. Because you're disclosing all of that on a live with 2 or 3,000 people watching, it can ruin your evidence.
Yeah.
Exactly. And the DA can use it.
So for that reason, I ad lib most of the time. I don't go through them chat logs word for word. I may read a couple pages, but I don't read the whole thing because I don't want to ruin that evidence. I don't want to taint it. I don't want to try to seem like I'm a cop or none of that. I
You,
want the police to show up so they can do their fucking job.
to tell you the truth, that's exactly how to do it. Because if you put all that evidence out, a good defense attorney could say, "Well, it's been
Yep.
it's
Yep.
corrupted the county,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because
Yep.
of this."
Exactly. And so that's why that whole read technique and standing there doing all, look, no, I'm keeping you standing here long enough for the cops to show up and them do their job.
Well, you keep them talking.
Oh, they
And that's
talk
all, you know.
because for some reason it's really weird how when a woman shows up in front of them, if it's a man, it's really weird how quick they will bitch up.
Mhm. Yeah, I get it. It's a different dynamic, but
Mm-hmm.
the main thing is to just keep them,
It's like their mother is scolding them.
Get them to talk in the first place.
Yeah, I've said, you know, for quite some time that I mom them. Like when I show up, it's like their mother has showed up and they're so just embarrassed and like, oh God, what have I done? Right?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that is a good technique. I mean, that is use it. Yeah,
Oh, I do. I'll chase them down in flip flops. I don't care.
I get it. I understand. That's I understand. Why did you do this? Yeah,
Yeah.
And get them loosened up and running their mouth.
Yep.
But I think it's great, like you said, you don't go through and go word for word because some defense attorney is going to say, well, see, that was through, that was on live video. And he was just saying that because she said that. And,
A good
Mhm.
lawyer,
and
the first thing a
then,
good defense attorney would say is, now that our whole county has, well, I want to move this to a different county because that's the first motion they'd say. I want
Yep.
to move this to a different county because our county has been polluted.
They've been tainted. They've already heard the evidence.
Right.
yep.
And
And
so
see, I have,
for that reason, like I will like say,
Get them to admit the pertinent parts. Did you really say that you knew that I was 14? Things like that.
yeah, oh yeah, I print off the first few pages with the age drop, and then I'll print off the back pages where they're like, meet me here at whatever time.
Right. The pertinent parts that are really important evidence.
Well, the parts that are going to get the arrest. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
The
And then the rest of
the fact that
the
he
police.
talked sexual and sent a dick pic to a 12 or 13-year-old, and set up a meet as well. So those are the keys that most of the time you need for an arrest to happen.
That's all excellent evidence. I do
Mhm.
court stuff. I've done true crime forever. Like when Biden brought up the Bundy and all that. I know I still have probably 30, 40 books on them.
Well, when I seen pred catching, I seen people doing pred catching. I was like, ooh, I want to do that. And I just automatically knew, because I have hunted down baby daddies for the last 30 years, that I would be great at finding these fuckers.
Well, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it because I would probably want to rip their fucking throat out.
See, that's what
Everybody asks me, how do I not do that? And, it kind of almost feels like the little girl survivor, Sammy, in me
Mhm.
is the one who shows up. And she doesn't have the big girl fight.
But she's showing she's in control.
Absolutely.
Now she's in control.
Absolutely.
I do have the social skills to do it.
Mhm.
I also think I have the skills as far as knowing the law,
Yeah.
real well in current law to do it. But I would be bad cop to your good cop. You know what I mean?
If you
see,
go
that's
back,
where
if you go back
You
and
wouldn't
watch,
want to intimidate them because that could be duress.
yeah,
You
oh
can
for
use
sure.
stress, but not duress. And a good lawyer would say he intimidated him, and he's this, and he was that, and you know what I mean. So
If you go back to some of my earlier catches when so back when me and my daughter started PHI, and we got a year in, and she decided she wanted to have a baby. So
Mhm.
it's a beautiful thing to see. But I miss doing catches with her because that's how we did. We cut it like, and every catch was different. I'd be good cop and she'd be bad cop, or it'd be, the role would be reversed on the next catch. And it
Yeah.
was never anything that we really planned. It just kind of would happen that way.
Yeah.
But if you go back and watch some of our earlier catches, you'll see that's kind of how me and her did. And it was like the mom and baby sister showed up, and they feel so ashamed. It's great.
Well, that's good though. That's
For
good
sure.
that they feel ashamed and open up and run their mouth because that's what you want.
Oh, for sure. And I love it when I can make them cry. I've
Yeah,
made several cry.
I think they're crocodile tears.
Oh, I don't care. It's still funny.
they're crying because they got caught. They're not crying because they
Oh yeah,
were
they're not
about to
crying
have a
because they
victim,
feel bad at
but
all.
they're
They're crying
crying because they got caught, and that's fine. That's just as good
yeah, go ahead and
because
cry, motherfucker.
You're
I don't
exactly
care.
right, Elizabeth. You're exactly right. It's sociopathic.
Yep. The
thinking.
police will be here in a minute to give you a tissue, motherfucker.
Oh, I'm so sorry I did that. Shut the fuck up.
It is glitter fart. It is hilarious. I had one lay down on the ground, and I'm like, "Sir, do you need an ambulance?" And he's like, "No, ma'am, no."
Yeah, glitter it is, isn't it?
So yeah, I just kind of wanted to come up and share that it's really important when it's time to vote to look at who you're voting for, because they're the ones that make these laws that we want passed and to protect our kids. They're the ones that we need to do it. We can't do it ourselves, otherwise it would be done.
Well, I want to go beyond that. I want us to get together state for state and contact our governor, our lieutenant governor, our attorney general and the attorney general's office. And I've got contacts from Michigan for all that. And I've actually I know organizations that say they're for the children, but they're about money and they don't do nothing. They don't do nothing with the government. They don't help change the laws at all. They're all about the money.
Yeah, you're telling me. I know.
I'm talking about all of us, state for state, getting together with all the people, and even federal, and just emailing the hell out of them, mailing them even fax. They got fax. Whatever we got to do.
Yeah.
With numbers, because that's the only way they'll listen. If they go, man, there's like 40,000 people pissed off about this. We better do something. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, like Lynn saying that, like I see a shift a little bit, like compared to when I first started. Like we got very little cooperation, as to now they tend to take our stuff a little bit more often now. They tend to arrest now on the spot, or even if not on the spot, within a couple days. So,
well, yeah, they kind of have to. I mean, at first they kind of treated all of you like you were vigilantes.
Oh yeah, they
stepping
did.
on their toes. But now that's changed. The policies changed because the police, they have public relations, all of them, and they're like, oh wow, look at all these people. It's growing and growing and growing. We better change our policy.
Absolutely, I think I think the wheels are turning. You know, what's the squeaky wheel gets the grease? Is that how it's?
It's starting to.
Yeah, I think it's turning. It
I
just.
want to take it to the next level. I want to get everybody together somehow, organize it, and with the communications that we have, it could be done, and just put pressure on the ones that are already voted in and not even voted in, because you might vote on your governor and everybody else is assigned. The attorney general of the state and the attorney general's got a whole branch of different divisions, and some of them are criminal divisions, and you can uh, message that department and that department and the courts and the local, like you live in big cities, the mayor and the boards, and even medium-sized cities and small cities and counties, you can take it local. You can put pressure on the whole state, and if you get enough numbers, the federal government, where they go, wow, these guys are, they're just, we got 10,000 people that just contacted 30 different places and said they want this to change, these laws to change, or the guidelines change, because the judges hate that shit and the cops hate that shit, but their hands are tied.
Mm-hmm. Lynn, I agree, love. I think that all of us just staying persistent and keep doing what we're doing. The more of us that do it, the better.
Yeah. And I love
agree.
it.
You guys have paved the way. Honestly, I know, because I've watched it from the beginning. I've been around 3 years and I've watched it change for myself, from looking around and going, the police aren't coming, guys. Sorry. The police are about to be here any minute, motherfucker. You're going to jail, in some of those same counties that weren't that way at the beginning. So it's getting there. It's getting there.
In some places, the police still actually treat them like they're vigilantes.
They do, but you know what's
like vigilantes?
What's funny is when they do that shit. So we had a guy here that we caught. His name was Stephen Ayon, and he was a teacher at a Christian academy here, and we caught him. And the cops that came out, one of them was just this major asshole. He was a sergeant, and he didn't want to deal with us. He didn't want to take our case. He didn't want to mess with it. Told us pretty much we needed to leave. Well, come to find out, 2 days later, that same sergeant had to go back out and arrest that man, because after we did the catch, a little girl came forward and told about how she was his victim.
Great. That's the beginning of healing.
Yes.
Getting out of the dark.
So, exposing him, exposed him. He is now in prison, and he's going to be doing a lot of time.
There is another thing you can do when the police do that. You can go directly to the district attorney. They have their own investigators.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
You can go above the police department.
Absolutely. And that's kind of where we're at with it now. Like I have court in 2 weeks, and it's up there in Michigan. And when I come up there, I have another case that he actually set up a meetup. I came up there. I sat at Burger King waiting on him for hours, then went looking for him because we had his information. Mm-hmm. But we didn't find him that day. We did find, however, his mother and spoke with her. She pretty much, knee-jerk reaction is to protect her child. I get it, right? And so we went ahead and left. But I am taking that case and that paperwork back up with me when I go to court to say, hey, look, I've got this guy and this is what took place. And what they'll do is they'll link up onto his account and they'll start decoying him themselves.
If you don't mind, well, you probably can't talk about it. It's an open case.
Yes.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about it on here.
Right. Yeah, I can't give details, but we did go. We met with the guy. We found his mother. We talked with her for an hour. Left there and couldn't find him and came back home. And then went back and did another catch up there, and that guy got arrested. And so I have court for him in 2 weeks. And I'm just going to take that other case with me and say, okay, look, here's this guy Can you do something?
Yeah, to the DA.
Yeah, they
ADA.
tend. They
Yeah.
tend to like it when you do that.
Yeah, because the ADA and the DA, the ADAs, they will do it,
Oh yeah.
and they have their own investigators.
Yep.
They don't need the
And
police.
and the good thing is that DA knows our evidence.
There you go.
So knowing our chat logs and what we require for our chat logs and how we do our decoy work, the DA they're all about it. So, and I'm proud of that.
Well, you should be, because here's the thing: they look at a case and they go, "Is this a winner? Or is this not a winner?" And if it's not a winner, if they have any doubt about it, or they think this is not going to be a winner, they won't take it. But if they know it's a winner, they got it. They're gonna. That's how they get promoted. Is winning cases. They are going to slam that case.
Oh yeah.
That's how they think.
Audrey, I was not flirting with a cop. You're silly.
You're doing it right. Audrey.
Audrey said she remembers the sting when I was flirting with a cop.
You're flirting with a cop? Yeah, they like that.
I mean, I may have been. Was he cute, Audrey? I don't remember.
Oh, I see it a lot in the court. I used to do a lot of the court and modern court and
look at her snitching on me. We're two.
Police cam. The police body cam stuff, a lot of that stuff. I see it a lot, and a lot of the police it does not work on at all. But I'm talking about somebody that's like a drunk driver girl or whatever. The tears don't work on a lot of them.
Look, Elizabeth gets it. Whatever it takes, Audrey.
Yeah.
If it takes a little flirting to get that arrest, baby.
Yeah, you're not the criminal. You know what I mean? So they don't have to be reserved with you as much as they would with like a someone they caught DUI or something. You know what I mean? That's flirting with them or something.
Right. Like come on, officer.
Unless they're married, then or in a relationship, then oh shit, this is on.
I might have, Tim. I might have.
This is on YouTube. I'm not. Yeah. I'm not.
Sammy Joe went from no to well, girl. I might have.
They'll still inside. They'll still like be. Yeah, cool. I still got it. You know what I mean? No, ma'am, I'm married, but yeah, inside they're like, yeah, I still got it. So.
Yo, yeah. Then they go home and tell their wife about the old lady that was flirting.
Oh well. I don't know. Some cops probably do tell their old ladies or their wives or whatever everything, and some of them probably don't tell them much of anything.
Yeah.
They don't want to bring home.
I mean, it's probably like any other job, really.
Cops see a lot of really bad shit, and they probably want to leave it. Some of that they don't want to bring it home. When they're home, they don't want to. I'm sure they talk to their wives somewhat about what's going on, but they probably don't want to bring it home. But they want to be. I'm home now. I don't want to think about that shit.
Hey, I'm back.
Elizabeth, I can change that up. I can get it just a little more country if I need to, honey. I've decoyed some people like that too. Like if I've needed information, just kind of call and, hi, I'm calling to see if Jim Bob still works there.
Mm-hmm. It's the same
you guys hear me?
Ohio and Kentucky.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
I can hear you, bud.
All right. Good. I'm back.
You kicked Elizabeth off. What'd you do?
What?
No, I'm kidding. I'm messing with you. Did you get your problem fixed? You get him a jump and everything?
Dude, I get out there. The extension cord wouldn't reach. He was parked directly behind my van, so I couldn't pull it out to give him a jump. Man. I'm like, okay, I just grabbed the extension cord in my jump box, and it's 10 feet short of hitting it. So I'm like, man, I sent the kid in to grab my blower because it's got a little extension cord in the side and it's got a really long cord, so I could just use that as a cord. And he comes out, it wasn't there. And I said, oh, son of a bitch. So we're all thinking, I said, well, let's try to push this thing back. Now, mind you, it's just been snowing. We got about 2-3 inches out there, right? On
Yes,
top of a bunch of
yeah.
ice.
Yes.
But I figured, well, there's 4 of us there. So I told him, get in the car, put it neutral. We're going to push it back. He gets in the car. He can't put it into neutral. But I'm hearing the beep, 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 beep. I said, dude, try to turn that thing over. He turns it
Yeah.
over. It starts right up.
Oh, it's probably the ground wire or some shit.
Yeah, they were just sitting out there partying in the car for like an hour and let the battery run out.
Oh, well, in the wintertime in Michigan, you don't want to do that.
No, you
No.
don't. All right, guys,
So-
I think I'm going to jump down. Bryden, thanks for letting me come and take over your panel with Jay for a few minutes. I appreciate
You're
it.
very welcome, my dear.
Jay, you
It's
have a great
fun.
evening. It was nice to meet you, and I'll see you guys later.
Take care,
It's been
Sammy
fun,
Joe.
Sammy. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. That's an SJ thing, man.
I had a lot of fun tonight. I did.
Good. And let me check with the chat really quick. What do you guys think, man? Put a 1 in the chat. All right. If you want to start doing a Saturday Night Live, because I'm not opposed to it. Let's see what everybody says. I'm waiting on it. We got a 1. We got a 1.
I think we know what the answer is.
Yeah.
Saturday Night Live.
Oh, Misty. Hi, Misty. I missed you. Got to give her a wrench so she fits in. Glitter is our only gray.
Seriously? You got to ask the question?
Right.
Well, it looks like we lost.
Hey, all right. Hey, much love to everybody here. Thank you so much for being in the chat tonight and
Yes.
listening to us up here bullshitting. I promise
Yes.
you I'll figure out the video problem and we'll get this thing going on a much better note next Saturday, if not before. And if not, then you'll be getting hit list after hit list because it just doesn't stop. So
Yeah, it never stops. It's a war. It's a war. And we're in it to win it.
You're very welcome, Sammy Joe. Much love to everybody out there. And
Tammy.
tell you what, go ahead, Jay. Oh, I thought you were talking. You said Tammy. I just caught it, right?
Yeah, I've seen her down there. She's always putting kisses in the chat.
Yeah.
Good night, everybody. Thank
Y'all
you.
take care of yourselves. Have a wonderful evening. And y'all be safe, okay? Take care, everybody.